Hi, welcome to Bake with Bex. So today I'm going to give rock cakes a try. I've never made them before, but they're meant to be really easy. So it says, these are very traditional English cakes, probably the first things most of us made at school. Well, no, I never did. And this is Mary Berry, so it's a good book. They're inexpensive, can be large or tiny, and need no special equipment. Great. They are best eaten on the day of making. Well, I'm making these for people at work, so they're going to be eating them tomorrow, but it'll be alright. And this recipe makes about 12 cakes. Well, I always find that recipes, you never get out what they say you're going to get. But hey, I might do double what it says and hope that I get enough. So, flour, let me check. Okay, well there's our sugar. Flour. It says 225 grams of flour. I'm not sure there's going to be enough there. I wonder if we've got any more. Wouldn't that be a great start? No flour. Ah, yes, we've got more flour. Perfect. So, scales and a mixing bowl. Right, so I'm ready with my scales and I need 225 grams of flour doubled, which is, if my maths correct, 225, 450. Yeah? Is that right? 450, 225 times 2? Yes, I think so. 450. That sounds like a lot of flour, but my mum reckoned making double would be right, but I'm not sure, you know. Oh well, I'm going ahead now because I'm already on 390, so we'll see. Okay, we're nearly at 450. I never sieve flour. Some things always say to, but I find you really don't need to. And it's just a waste of time standing there with your sieve, like tapping it all through. No, I just put it straight in. And baking powder. How much baking powder? Can't even see. Oh yeah, 2 level teaspoons of baking powder. So 2 level teaspoons doubled. I can do that one all right. That's 4 level teaspoons of baking powder. Didn't even know you used baking powder for rock buns because they're not really things that rise, are they? They're not like a cake. Okay. Would you say that was a level teaspoon? More of a heap teaspoon. Oh well, we'll bung it in. 1, 2, 3, 4. You probably want to see my bowl, don't you? There's my bowl, my mixing bowl. So, what's next? Add the butter and rub in with your fingertips. So, I shall now be measuring the butter. I'm not using butter. I never really cook with butter. We never really have butter in the house. So I always cook with margarine. Like, I never find it makes any difference. You may think otherwise. But today I'm using Sainsbury's sunflower spread. So what do we need? 100 grams of butter. So I can do that one easily. That's 200 grams of butter. Oh, the scales have gone off. Let's see what we get to. Now you see, I've always loved baking, but when I was really suffering from anorexia, I found it really difficult to bake because of this. I hated touching it with my fingers. Like, I couldn't bear to get like this. Like, it doesn't bother me now, but I couldn't stand to get margarine or butter on my fingertips. And when you have to rub it in, so like now I'm at 200 grams. So I'm going to put it in my bowl, which I'm now going to rub in. So oh poo. So I'm now going to rub in my flour, my butter into my flour, and yeah, as I say, I couldn't do this before because I couldn't bear to get the margarine on my fingers, because in some strange way I thought that by getting it on my fingers I never felt like I was able to get it off properly, and it'd get under my nails. Not that I have long nails, but I just would feel like it was just on my fingers all the time and I couldn't get it off. And then when I would next put my fingers to my mouth or touch any food that I was about to eat, I'd somehow magically eat the calories that I'd got from touching the butter. But I've improved a lot since then, and like now I love to bake. It doesn't bother me. And if you don't know my background a bit, I've worked as a cook for 2.5 years full-time in a tea room. I've been back working there part-time for a year, which I have now just left. But that really I wanted to work in a kitchen because I loved to bake, and it really just got me where I was all previously very not liking to touch greasy or food like that. Working in the kitchen, I just opened my world to touching whatever I had to touch, whether that's fat on bacon, sausages, you name it, I touched it. So I became I got over my fear of touching fatty, greasy food, so that's good. So yeah, now I do it without a problem at all. And you might be wondering why I'm wearing my dressing gown when I'm baking. It's because it's the middle of June nearly, and it is freezing outside. It's pouring with rain. I've been out in my car to drop my mum off at work, and it said it was 10 degrees, and that is 10 degrees in the middle of June. And I just think, when it's weather like this, I think to myself, I don't know if I can get through another winter in England, because it is just so miserable and cold and wet. And I love it when it's hot and sunny, and then I think maybe I'm better off moving to a hot place. But like my mum says, oh, go and live with your sister in Spain, that's nice and hot there all year round, which is true. But I wouldn't want to move somewhere where I don't speak the language. And my mum says, well, you'd pick it up, you'd learn it easy, you'd pick it up. And I'm like, I don't think I would. I mean, I did learn Spanish for a year at school, but I don't know that I could be bothered to learn a whole new language. So then I think somewhere like Australia would be nice, where you've got English speaking people, lovely weather all year round, but then I don't know that I could deal with the insects and the bugs. Right, so I have now rubbed the mixture into my fingertips to resemble fine breadcrumbs. That looks alright, doesn't it? Resembles fine breadcrumbs. So what's next? Stir in the sugar and the fruit. So it says 50 grams of granulated sugar and 150 grams of fruit. I'm just going to rinse my fingers. Right, so I have my sugar here. I am using golden granulated sugar. I always bake with golden granulated sugar unless it's like dark muscovado or light muscovado, but I never ever really cook with caster sugar. My mum has always just said golden granulated is much better, so that's what I've always done, because I'm of the belief that mums are always right. So what does it say? How much sugar? 50 grams of granulated sugar. 100 grams then we're doing double, so we shall do 100 grams. There we go, that's 99 grams, that's close enough I think. So we mix in the sugar, and it says 150 grams of dried mixed fruit. Well, I'm just going to use sultanas because preferably for myself I prefer sultanas and I think they're nicer, so I'm just going to use sultanas. I don't know if the people at work have that same view, but I do. So 150 grams of fruit is 300. I'm getting good at this mental maths. So 150 grams of fruit. Oh no, 150 grams of dried mixed fruit doubled is 300, yeah. Have I got enough? Have I got enough? How much is this? Oh, 500, yes. I've got enough. Get it up to 300. There we go. 300 exactly of mixed, well, not mixed fruit, of sultanas into my bowl. And it says give it a stir. So that is what I shall do. Says to give it a stir, so I'll just give it a quick mix in with my fingers. Get all the sultanas jumbled up into the mixture. I can't remember the last time I had a rock cake, you know. It's a very old, like an old thing. It's not like a new fancy thing. Like nowadays you get like fancy macaroons and stuff like that, whereas rock cakes is like proper traditional. Right, so next on the list it says beat the egg and the milk together and add to the fruity mixture. So it says 1 large egg, so I used 2, and milk. How much milk? 1 tablespoon of milk, so I'll do 2. Now, another thing, I used to, not anything like eating disorder, but when I was younger and I used to bake with my mum, I used to absolutely hate cracking eggs because I just found it so difficult, and I'd get the shell everywhere and it'd drip everywhere. But working in the tea room, again, cracking eggs, you must end up cracking about 100 eggs a day for these fried breakfast and scrambled eggs. So now I do it with, like, I could do it in my sleep, I think, cracking an egg. Right, so here we go, egg cracking, egg number 1. And I will recycle these shells into the food bin, because we recycle all our food here, and egg number 2. And I shall give it a whisk with a fork. I always do. I always whisk my eggs with forks rather than whisks, because I don't know, I just find it easier. Like, I like to crack my eggs into little things like this because I just find them easier to deal with, because if you do get any shell, then it's easy to fish out before you put it into the mixture. And I went on a baking course once at Betty's Cookery School up in Harrogate, where they are renowned for their scones, and they, which I never knew before, but they said that beating your eggs before you put into the mixture is really important part of the recipe, and you have to beat them really well, otherwise the cakes or whatever that you're making do not rise very well. So since I've been on that course, I've always mixed very thoroughly, because I would always beat them before, but like never that thoroughly. So now I make sure I do it proper, and that looks well beaten, I think. And adding 2 tablespoons of milk. Now, it's hard to add 2 tablespoons of milk, because how can I pour milk onto a tablespoon? Well, here's a tablespoon. It's a bigger spoon than a normal spoon, and here is my milk. So I'm using semi-skimmed milk. It doesn't actually say what type of milk, but we only have semi-skimmed or skimmed in the house, so I'm using semi-skimmed because I think it's better. I always use, myself, when I'm having like porridge or cereal or whatever, I always have semi-skimmed milk. It's my mum and my dad that use skimmed milk, but I'm not a big fan of skimmed milk because it's just a bit watery. I'm going to try and be skilled here and pour my milk onto this spoon without it spilling everywhere. So fingers crossed. Oh yeah, there we go. 1 spoon into the milk, and 2 spoons, please don't spill. Yes, 2 spoons into the milk. Oh, that was easier than I thought. That's good. Finish with the milk, and now give them a little beat. The milk and the eggs looking good. And it says add to the fruity mixture, which we've got here. I'm presuming I'm going to mix this with a wooden spoon. Yeah. I'm going to mix it with a wooden spoon. If I can find a wooden spoon. Oh no, where's our wooden spoons? Oh. Oh. Found the wooden spoon. Yeah, so we're going to mix in. So yeah, you probably think that I should be wearing an apron, but I never really. When I work in the tea room, I always wear an apron, but at home, I generally don't. I'm wearing my house coat dressing gown, so it doesn't matter if this gets dirty. So we're mixing in. I'm actually going. Oh, I've dropped some on the floor. I'll have to clear that up later. I'm actually going out for dinner tonight to Zizi's with two of my friends that I made on my master's course, which I did in 2017 to 2018. So it's going to be nice to have a catch up with them, see what they're up to in their lives. Well, I know what they're up to. They're both working in sport, which is good, because our master's was in applied exercise, sport and exercise physiology. So that is what I'm trained in, that is what they're trained in, that is the profession. Oh, that is the profession we would like to pursue. I'm currently not pursuing that, not because I don't want to, but because jobs are very hard to get in this industry. Right, this is looking a bit dry, I think. I'm getting like dried bits not coming up into the mixture. Can you see at the bottom there? So it says, if the mixture is too dry, add a little more milk. Now, we know what the problem is going to be here. I'm going to end up adding too much milk, and then it's going to get too wet, and then I'm going to get really frustrated with myself. So we're going to have to add little by little. So, oh God, that's probably too much, another tablespoon. I might pour half of that in and put the rest in that cup, and then let's hope this is enough, or at the very least, not too much. I don't really know what, because I've never made rock buns before, I don't really know what consistency I'm looking for with the mixture. Because obviously, like, I'm used to making cakes, and when you have cakes, you have kind of a dropping consistency. So you pick the spoon up, hold it, and it will drop off the spoon. But I have no idea what I'm meant to get with this, what this mixture's meant to, consistency this is meant to be. But it has now come into a nice ball, which is good. So I think that should be alright. I mean, I don't think it needs to be any wetter, but I really don't know. If the mixture is too dry, add a little more milk. I don't know if it is too dry. Like, how do I know? Do you know, I think it's going to be alright. I added a bit more than what they said, didn't I? So let's just hope it's going to be okay. Right, so what next? Shape the mixture into about 12 rounds. Well, I'm going to be having 24, but as I say, I probably won't get 24 out of the mixture. Right, so I have to grease the baking trays, which is another thing that I used to I never actually did it. Okay, I never used to grease my baking trays. I'd have to ask my mum to do it because I just could not put my hands in it. And even now, like, it's not my favourite job of greasing the baking tray, but I do it. But it's just hard to get margarine off your fingers. But yeah, as I say, it doesn't really bother me anymore. It's quite an annoying job. So I'm gonna need 2 baking trays if I'm gonna have 24 biscuits, rock buns, whatever. But as I say, I'm not going to get 24, and I don't know how spaced out they need to be. And I could use greaseproof paper, right? I never normally cook with greaseproof paper, and today I was thinking, shall I cook with greaseproof paper? But I wasn't sure whether I would need to grease the tray as well as put greaseproof paper. Like, oh, I didn't know. So I thought, oh, I'll just make it easy for myself and just grease it rather than think about greaseproof paper. So here we go. looking forward to going out for dinner. I know what I'm going to have. I've looked at the menu. Actually, I have to be honest, when I go to Zizzi's, I do tend to always have the same meal. And that is because I do like it, but also because it's now kind of become my safe meal. So I do plan on, in the future, branching out and trying new different things. But for today, I'm just going to stick with what I know, which is chicken. It's like not polo. I got told off for saying polo before because it's not polo, it's pollo. So I'm having pollo prosciutto, which is chicken wrapped in bacon in a sauce with green beans. It is really, really nice. So that is what I'm having. So 2 teaspoons onto the baking tray. Do you think that's about the right size? Because rock ones are normally quite big, I thought. Into rough moulds on the baking tray. 1. Oh my god, what was that bang? Oh, I think it's next door with the dustbin. 1, 2. Don't know how spaced out these need to be, but we'll see. So I put them on the baking trays. Now I think I've made a big mistake here and it's going to come back to bite me on the bum. I think I've put them too close together and they're going to spread into one big mound, which I know is going to happen, yet I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway, which is stupid because it's like, why, if I know it's going to happen, am I going to do it? But I just am, okay? So here's the first tray and here's the second tray. I actually got 20 rock buns out of the mixture, which should have made 24. So hopefully it will be all right. So into the oven they go. And how long does it say? 15 minutes or until pale golden brown at the edges. They're going to need longer than 15 minutes, I think. A, because there's double the quantity. Well, yeah, because there's double the quantity and they're bigger than what they should have been. So, yeah. I'll put it on for 15 minutes and then check and see how they're doing. Fingers crossed. And now for the worst part. Washing up and clearing everything up, the worst part of baking. I've now cleared up the kitchen, as you can see behind me. It's nice and clean. Everything's washed up at the sink. And how long have we got left on the timer? 6 minutes. That'll be 6 minutes until it's had 15 minutes. I'm hoping it's not going to have overcooked in that time. But I don't want to open it and it messed it all up. So I'll wait for the 6 minutes and we'll see what they look like. It's the 1 minute countdown. It's the final countdown. Do-do-do, do-do-do-do. Now what does the book say? Bake in the oven for 15 minutes or until pale golden brown at the edges. So when the alarm goes off, I'm going to have a look at them and see if they are pale golden brown at the edge. Fingers crossed. Right, the alarm has just gone off, so I'm going to have a look at them. Here goes. Oh my goodness me. They look golden brown at the edges, but I don't think they're quite done. Look. This is what they look like. They look quite alright actually, but I reckon, don't know. They feel a bit squidgy, but they are golden brown at the edge. This is the other tray. I think maybe 2-3 minutes longer. We'll go with that. Another 3 minutes. There's the alarm for the 3 minutes. I'm tempted to leave them another minute. No, I'll have a go. See what they look like. They're probably not going to look any different than they looked 3 minutes ago. I think they are done, you know, because they are getting quite cooked now. but I don't want them to be doughy inside. I might actually cut one in half and see what it looks like. Yeah, let's do that. So I cut it in half, and that's what it looks like inside. So I think they are done. That's good. So I'll get the next lot out the oven. There's the second tray, and you know, they probably smell, but I have no sense of smell. So literally I bake, I cook, and I can't smell anything. So I hope these ones have been on the bottom shelf, so they might not be as well done. So I might check one of these, cut one of these up and see if these are done. Here's one from the bottom shelf, cut in half. Looks done to me. So yep, we've done our rock cakes, yay, for the first time. And here they are cooling on their wire racks. I found some wire racks actually, so that's good. So yep, there is our rock cakes completed. That's the end of the baking. We did our rock cakes, and I shall be taking them into work tomorrow and hope they taste all right and they like them.